Atlanta was known for being a party city.
The ability to get all these black people from all over the country with all this money. We're together, we're free, and the city is welcoming us.
And every single freaking place you went, it was just
boom, 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 boom.
So I'm outside of the club and he think I'm a punk.
I ain't never scared. We coming hard.
Every rapper and their mama came to Atlanta.
I think everybody had an oh shit moment in 03.
You could tell, like, yo, it's some real money in Atlanta.
We are at beautiful Phillips Arena.
On February 9th, 2003, Michael Jordan would play his 13th and final All-Star game. A game where the most well-known NBA players were in their primes. A place where major off-the-court culture shakers were on the cusp of black excellence.
I was excited because the city was getting a recognition that she deserved. These young entrepreneurs, these young athletes, these young entertainers, these young professionals, because everybody was there, from the lawyers, the doctors, everybody. It was like being at the largest HBCU homecoming I'd ever seen.
When you look at who's courtside, 75, 80% of that are people from our culture, you know, because basketball and hip hop have such a, you know, a connection.
2003 All-Star. I got the call because that was my first All-Star. Me and Stephon got the call at the same time. We knew, so he was like, yo, we finna turn up down here. I was like, for real? I was like, yeah.
When I found out I was making my second All-Star in Atlanta, I was so excited. My family lives in Lithonia in Atlanta. I had a connection since I was a kid from college. We played against Georgia Tech there, so all my memories of playing basketball just came back to light that I'll be able to play in Atlanta again, and especially the All-Star game.
It was all lights, cameras, action out there, man. You know, every celebrity was at the game.
It was Michael Jordan's last All-Star, and people were paying tribute to him.
I mean, I ain't gonna never forget the halftime show because Mariah Carey had a body Jordan dress on, and we all was going crazy over that. So.
What I remember, the dress.
And Mariah Carey performed in that jersey dress that apparently a lot of guys loved seeing her perform in.
I feel like Mariah Carey's Wizards jersey dress, quite possibly, is what really started the female tailored and catered outfits when it came to some of these sports.
Well, me having to guard MJ, though, in the final seconds of the game was dope, too. Pop came up to me, was like, yo, he's like, Matrix, you want to take him? I was like, hell yeah, I want it. Everybody was like, yeah, come on, get the Matrix. Kobe, everybody. I was all over. Everybody was on the edge of their seats, and man, he got that thing right off on the tip of my fingers, man. Nothing but fire. I was like, ain't this some shit? But it was meant to be, though. It was dope, though.
At the end of that game, man, as you can see me walk up to Isaiah Thomas. After Kobe got fouled, Isaiah Thomas says to me, tell Kobe to miss the free throws. I go over to Kobe Bryant. I said, yo, Zeke said miss these free throws so he can win. And the look that Kobe gave me when I said that, I will never forget that. I think a lot of the players on the Western Conference can tell you how serious he was about us winning that game.
So Kobe made sure we won the game. And that kind of made it not feel as bad, though.
After that week in the South, namely Atlanta, saw a more enormous cultural explosion.
All-Star games changed a lot because people really was like, yo, Atlanta, crazy. Well, we need to move in. We need to get down there and get some money with them boys, because we'll take over. And it seemed like after that All-Star game, you start seeing so many New Yorkers and LA cats, Detroit cats. They was coming from everywhere, Florida cats.
In the club, like a pimp, never scared, was blasting out of every radio, every car.
Like a Pimp was also really, really huge at the time. I was doing radio. We played that a ton.
Well, the way Like a Pimp and just the All-Star weekend and just how that helped push the records bigger. I had an event with 50 Cent. We actually did a freestyle to the Like a Pimp beat. It's me, 50 Cent, and Lloyd Banks. So I was running around like 50 on the hook. Let's get that money, man. Let's get that money, man.
In 2003, Killer Mike released his debut solo album, Monster. In that same year, he was featured on the hit track Never Scared alongside Bone Crusher and T.I.
Crusher calls me in and says, hey, I want you to get on this record with these guys. They're from Mississippi's adult record. I heard the record. I'm just like, whoo, shit. Hell yeah. I just gave him the verse, got out of there. Crusher hit me and said, man, I think I'm gonna put Tip on the record too. I'm like, absolutely.
And it's like, you've never seen three unknown dudes, sounds crazy now, but three unknown dudes come with that much confidence. I think that's what people liked about it. The confidence, the gall of three unknown people to come in and smash the way we smash.
We was all coming in at the time, standing on the shoulders of Outkast, Goody Mob. Of course, you had other people who was already on fire at the time, like Ludacris and Lil Jon. And we were just kind of, just pushing our way through. And all of us were at the very beginning of our careers.
My sound back then was a sound nobody had ever heard before. Nobody had ever heard a beat coming like that, because it was all like, shouts out to Puffy and them. It was Puffy and them and all the shiny, no, rainbow. It's all that, right? Shiny suits, Rolex watches. And here come these guys from the street talking about, I ain't never scared. We coming hard.
Man, when that Never Scared dropped, people was just like, what? Like, who is this? Then you see Bone Crusher jumping around. Like, cause we ain't scared. Then you had Tilt, Youngblood, all them boys. People was like showing that the city was like, about that life. Once Tilt kind of hit, it was like Jeezy, Gucci, Jock, Shawty. It just started, and it just kind of went a whole nother kind of direction. And then you start seeing the trappers really having that bag when you riding you in Atlanta and everybody got Rolls Royces and Bentleys and big ass Cadillac Escalades.
2000 to 2003, to me, is when the city started to really identify all that groundwork or the foundation of how the city was going to be, right? So from 2000 to 2003, you got guys like myself, T.I., Killer Mike, the Youngbloods, Yin Yang Twins, the Camp. You got those guys really figuring out who they were up until that time. We finally get up to 2003, you got me coming.
I think everybody had an oh shit moment in 03. Everybody realized I should be living there, my children should be growing up there, or I should be owning or engaging in business there.
The city wore a stain that lingered from the Atlanta child murders. 29 people were killed and many murders were left unsolved.
In the early 80s, we come out of the missing and murdered child thing. Weirdly enough, with the drug era happening and crack kind of exploding on the streets, it provided this weird freedom, if it makes any sense, because at first there was just this spirit of fear. Because as a boy, especially, you thought, I might leave and not might make it. But with the drug culture kind of exploding, it kind of opened things up.
So in my Outkast class, for example, we listen to every single album. Each album represents something connected to the South. And thinking about what the influences are. So they listen to Southern Playlistic, they talk about the Atlanta child murders, because so many Atlanta hip-hop artists were in the city, and you continuously see that event come up in the music.
As you get in the late 80s and going into the 90s, it becomes that rap-dominant city. You get people like Eric Sermon, who moved here, the Wu-Tang store, pops up here. Puffy's down here so much he directs this young group named Outkast for his video. MC Breed moves here from Michigan, and his little homie is a guy named Tupac. They running around the city and taking all the girls in Club Nicky's and Stewart Avenue and making the locals mad, Later on, Pac become a local hero because he shoot 2 cops in the ass, It's a city, again, where anything is possible. At the same time, you have athletes and entertainers doing their thing. The culture is still very much based in the working middle class. Black folks are moving here from other parts of the country up and down the East Coast, and they have opportunity, whether it's in education, whether it's formal trade work and things. You had city schools that were named for Black educators and emancipators. So you had kids who, although not living a Cosby Show-like day-to-day, it was hopeful for them.
The Atlanta I grew up in, I think it was one of those initial waves of Black folks moving down here from other places for opportunity.
The history of Southern hip-hop permeated through neighborhoods, telling stories of street life in a world where money was scarce, but the game provided.
Without Southern music, I don't know if rap has the 50-year dominant reign.
The South is not monolithic, right? Which means that the South has different flavors, different experiences. In Atlanta, you hear the influences of funk and gospel.
Man, Southern hip hop first, I remember 2 Live Crew. Then I have to say Kilo, then Sammy Sam, Raheem the Dream, Shadi, Outkast, Goody Mob, 8 Ball, MJG, UGK.
It was always about sort of like the line between 2 Live Crew and Raheem the Dream. Like when I think of sort of who I identify the most, like which rap artist I knew all of the words to his songs first, it would be Kilo. I'd take 3 little and I put them in a line. I'd take 4, 5, 6. I chose like the dirtiest Kilo song.
My first memory of Southern hip hop, it gotta be, Rap-A-Lot, because I'm from H-Town, you know what I'm saying? And me just hearing the Ghetto Boys tell tales and stories and real life stuff that people in the Black community could relate to.
I remember being 12 years old hearing Outkast. It was just like, this it right here. That really was like, oh, we got a sound now. When Dre said, South got something to say, it was like, hell yeah, yeah. You heard it. It just resonated because cats started feeling like that.
In 1995, Outkast won Best New Rap Group at the Source Awards. They accepted the award and were greeted with boos. The duo, Big Boy and Andre 3000, made it known that they were not backing down. The next year, Atlanta welcomed the 1996 Olympic Games, which placed the city on the world stage. Transformation activated.
By the time 96 rolls around, and you get to see Muhammad Ali, who in the 70s, had fought his comeback fight here. He put that torch up, lit that thing up, and it was boom. By then, the Braves had become a preeminent force. The Falcons had seen people like Deion Sanders, Andre Rison. You had TLC, you had Outkast, Goody Mob, you had LaFace. There was always this sense of anything is possible. So when the Olympics get announced in 90, it goes crazy. Anything actually is possible now.
In terms of like the city of Atlanta itself, I think it's really interesting because it's in the immediate aftermath of what Dr. Maurice Hobson calls the Olympification of Atlanta, right? Which is like after the Olympics hit in 1996, everybody looks at Atlanta different.
How did the 96 Olympics change the city of Atlanta?
But that changed the whole infrastructure of the city. You know what I'm saying? To see your city just like, oh, we finna do something big. What we doing? Remix! They just start remixing the city, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when the project started being like, hey, they about to be out of here. And I want to say, shoot, Ted Wood got knocked out, it was real. They put the whole aquatic center down there. They like, wait a minute. The project's gone and y'all finna have people swimming right here?
Well, of course, everybody remembers 96 Olympics. I was young, 18, 19 when that transpired. And I always thought that I would be an Olympian. Just seeing that and just watching the city grow. I barely visited my family down there, but I knew I had some connections down there at some point.
From Booty Shake to Buck to Chopped and Screwed, from crunk to trap, the regional sounds were nothing new.
Before that period, it was that there was what they call booty shake, you know what I mean, or whatever, that was still really prominent in the city, but then it started slowly but surely phasing out into what we call, I guess, the pre-trap days.
Atlanta, ironically, our symbol is a phoenix. It's a bird that burns itself up and is burning new. You look at Atlanta, it really kills itself every 2 to 3 years musically. So crunk music does its thing. Then it gets a little more darker and dangerous. Then T.I. introduces trap music to the spectrum. Out of that, you have different branches of trap music that pop out, whether it's Gucci style or Jeezy style, sprouting up out of T.I. and DJ Toom creating trap music. Then after trap music, you have the snap music movement, the rock star movement. You have all these little movements that no matter what is happening, to me, Atlanta is already dominating, unacknowledged. This guy named Lil Jon, who used to work for Jermaine as a DJ, he takes the influence of Buck music out of Tennessee and he marries it with, to me, the worker class and middle class them of college chants and creates this thing called crunk music. Now, this is after Atlanta has proven itself to be not on par, but above par with music. The DJs are the most important part in the configuration that blows an artist, and that configuration is the club. It is the local club. So when you talk about Magic City, you talk about the Blue Flame, you talk about Club Peaches, Club Gentleman's Club, these are local places that local people, the guys that owns 15 daycare centers and 3 sets of apartments, you know, he spent a couple of grand in the middle of the day at 3 in the afternoon, you know?
A lot of stuff wasn't getting played on the radio for whatever reasons. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it was not radio appropriate.
Whether it be a strip club, whether it be a regular club, like DJs were really like the curators of the culture. And Atlanta strip club culture to this day is where a lot of brand new records go to get broken, even before the radio, before the regular clubs, because people are just in there chilling, having a good time, spending a little bit of money, eating. That may sound crazy to those who've never been to Atlanta, you know. Some of the best food is in the strip clubs.
I've been working hard all week. Let me get this fit off right quick and go in here and ball out for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Then it's back to reality after this. So these were the places where the songs were the soundtrack.
You're hearing the music, you're seeing how the dancers react to it. And if the dancers really like a song and she's popular, that song is going to go. It's kind of like grassroots research before you put some real money into the record.
So you go in the strip club and pay a DJ $1,000 or so forth, and he could literally play your record 10 times, 15 times in a row. So if you're listening to a record 10, 15 times back to back to back, you're not gonna forget that record.
I've always said this, man, this is a big thing back in the day. If I can get my song and my slogan on a t-shirt, I'm the shit, right? I go to the Magic City, man, and I'm seeing girls with Never Scared t-shirts on, tied up, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, shit.
The music that was coming out of Atlanta at the time was supposed to make you move. It was loud, it was percussive. You were supposed to listen to it in the club. And what better way to see if you can dance to it or not than try it out at the strip club?
Atlanta, since the 2003 All-Star Weekend, is Wakanda. It's Black Hollywood. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't have gotten there eventually if not for that showcase, but I do think that you can really link so much of Atlanta sort of becoming the mecca for young Black creativity and art and movie and television and hip-hop and R&B. I think it comes back down to that. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of these artists started really popping after that weekend.
Atlanta contributed so many great movements. We can't talk about 2003 hip hop and not talk about, you know, the evolution of crunk music and all that was kind of gifted to the culture from Atlanta. From that, we can't talk about Atlanta hip hop and not talk about Ludacris and all things that he did, Tip, Bone Crusher, just party anthems, street tales, narratives, and production quality. It's gifted so much to the culture. And it's hard to believe that 20 years has actually passed.
When we talk about runs, you know, as far as who's been the most dominant, I think Atlanta has had the most dominant run. The Ludacris, the Tip, the Jeezy, the Gucci runs, to then the 2 Chainz and Future runs, then to the Migos and Young Thug, 21 Savage. I think that Atlanta, since that time, has always had key figures that have been very popular, very dominant, and at the top of the game.
When people talk about Atlanta controlling the music industry, Atlanta influencing everything culturally, it really taps back to that weekend in 2003 to where the rest of the world got to see what Atlanta has to offer.